Okay, buenas tardes. Quiero repasar algunas cosas como no teníamos clase hoy. Quiero repasar, voy a hacer dos videos, uno con los mandatos familiares y el otro con por y para. And so today, since we didn't have class, I just wanted to go over briefly the different command forms. And I'm talking affirmative to commands and negative to commands. We're not going to worry about usted just yet, okay? But we've got the tu, both positive and negative. Okay? So we use these when giving orders, but also giving advice, giving instructions, or when we're going to use tu commands. Now, for many, it's very easy to form. Okay? We are going to use the él, ella, usted form that you already know, which is called indicative, but you learned it in 101. So things like hablar is habla, guardar, guarda, volver, vuelve, etc. So we use those same forms as a command, well, positive, affirmative command. So if you want to say somebody to one person like, speak in Spanish, habla en español. Okay? If you want to tell them, print your file, imprime tu archivo. Okay? So we're just going to use the él, ella, usted form for those. Okay? And they usually have the same form. As always, you should know by now, we have irregular things that happen. Okay? So here are some verbs that are irregular in the affirmative or positive commands. Okay? Verbs like decir, hacer, ir, poner, salir, tener, ser, and venir. These are all irregular. I like to group things, so the verbs that change into only two letters are decir, ir, and ser, di, ve, and se. And then the other ones, for the most part, we're just taking off the er or ir endings. With the exception of hacer, because we don't want to end up with ac, the C is going to change to a Z. So haz, pon, sal, ten, ven. So if you want to say something like, leave at once, sal ahora mismo, do the exercises, haz los ejercicios. Okay. So this was kind of how VHL set them up. I like to group things where they have something in common. Okay. Since ir and ver have the same tu commands, they're both ve, you're going to determine the meaning by the context. So, ve al cibercafé con Yolanda. So, go to the cybercafe with Yolanda. Ve ese programa. Es muy interesante. Okay, so you see that program? It's very interesting. Okay. Now, negative to commands, this is formed by dropping the O off the yo form in the present tense. And if it's an AR verb, we're going to put an ES ending. If it's an ER-IR verb, we're going to put an AS ending. So in other words, think of it as being the opposite endings from what you learned. So hablar, we normally know that it's tu hablas, but the command is actually no hables. Because we started with hablo, we dropped the O, and we added the es, the es. So hables, no hables, no guardes, no prendas, no vuelvas, no pidas. Okay? So some examples like, Héctor, no pares el carro aquí. Okay? So don't stop the car here. Or no prendas la computadora todavía. Don't turn on the computer yet. Okay? Now, not all verbs end in O in the yo form. Okay? And even some that do, they're irregular. So like conducir, which is conduzco. Conocer, which is conozco. Decir, which is digo. Hacer, hago. Ofrecer, ofrezco. Oír, oigo. Poner, pongo. Salir, salgo. Tener, tengo. Traducir, traduzco. Traer, traigo. Venir, Vengo and ver veo. So these same irregularities, again, we're just going to drop the O and add the new endings. So poner being pongo, no pongas el disco en la computadora, no conduzcas tan rápido. The stem changing verbs are still going to keep their stem changes in the -2 command. So no pierdas tu celular, no vuelvas a esa gasolinera, no repitas las instrucciones. Now, there are times where we might have some spelling changes that happen, okay, mostly for phonological or sound reasons. So things like sacar, we have to change that C to a QU. And these are all negative forms again. No saques, because if we didn't, we would actually end up with no saces, and we don't want that. Apagar, the G becomes a GU, so no apagues. This way we don't end up with no apagues. Almorzar, the Z se cambia a C, so no almuerces. Now, these were the ones I was going to mention earlier, on the sense that these verbs do not end in O in the yo form, because we have doy, estoy, voy, sé, and soy. So these ones are completely irregular. These are the ones you have to memorize. So no des, no estés, no vayas, no sepas, no seas. So those are the ones that we want to memorize. Now when we have pronouns, and by pronouns I think I'm talking about reflexive, indirect, or direct object pronouns. If we have a positive command, an affirmative command, it's going to attach at the end. Negative, it's going to come right in front of the verb, or it's going to come between no and the verb. So things like bórralos, but negative would be no los borres. Escríbeles un mensaje electrónico, but no les escribas un mensaje electrónico. And if you notice with bórralos and escríbeles, we're going to put an accent mark. Now, it doesn't happen for all the time, okay? But when we have more than 2 syllables, the accent mark is added to maintain original stress. So I like to say that before I add that pronoun, I'm going to count back 2 vowels and accent them. Okay, so borra, I'm going to count back 2 vowels, the A and then the O, put the accent over the O, and then add the los. Okay, now does that happen with every single one? No, but it will for 90% or more. Okay, so borra, bórralos, prende, préndela, imprime, imprímelo. Okay, I'm going to end it here. I'll make a separate video for por en parra. I hope this helps.